Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, July 1st, 2024. I've got 7:01, so I'd like to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of Gahanna City Council. We'll get started first with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilmember Padova.
We greet this 4th of July with grateful hearts as we call to mind the vision of freedom and justice for all upon which our country was built. We give thanks for those who imagined this vision. We are grateful to those who continue advocating for and pursuing a land of peace, liberty, and equity for all. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Padova. Moving on to Section B, are there any, I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bowers is absent. Jones?
Here.
McGregor?
Here.
Padova?
Here.
Renner?
Here.
Schnetzer?
Here.
Weaver?
Here. Thank you. Now moving on to Section B, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to our presentation section. And for a resolution presentation by Council for Disability Pride Month, I'll turn things over to Councilmember Jones.
Thank you. It is so exciting to see almost standing room only in Chambers. So thank you everyone for being here. Today marks the beginning of Disability Pride Month, which is celebrated each year in July to honor the disability community's histories, achievements, experiences, and struggles, and to promote the idea that disability is a natural part of human diversity. This month began as a day of celebration in 1990, which was the year that the American Disabilities Act was signed into law. To honor this moment, we have several special guests joining us tonight. So from the Gahanna Employability and Adult Readiness Program, or GEAR, we have Jonathan Escobar Soto, who will make some remarks here in a moment. Also, instructors with that program, Shane Natali and Ruth Yoder. From the Extended Support Services, or ESS program at the high school, we'll have students Jaden Fisher and Elijah Rubin making comments. They are joined by their teachers and supporting adults at the program, Tiffany Hanna, Jill Long, Katie Roslovic, and Sue Weiging. And then from Gahanna Special Olympics, fresh off the games this weekend and probably still recovering, everyone, but we have one of the torchbearers, Kiana Peck, who will be making some comments as well. So before those comments, I'd like to invite those special guests forward for a photo with council, and then we'll turn the mic over to you.
All the paparazzi are here. Actually, I'm going to take a picture of it.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good? Camera's good? All right, Jonathan. Jonathan, right? Do you want to go first?
She can go first. Anyone go first. However you want to do it.
Whatever works.
I'm just letting anyone that wants. Let people that don't want to talk about go first.
Yeah, so you'll
You could do it, John.
let me know. Okay. Hi guys, I'm Jonathan from the GEAR program. The GEAR program is the Gahanna Employment Adult Readiness Program. This program is about all kids that come in to help them learn job skills that they can use to find a job, to apply for jobs that best fit their skills and their interests. Under this, I've worked in the print shop. I've done deliveries. I've done laminating and printing. And then we do deliveries all over the district. And we go, and then I have also worked as a school custodian at Chapel Field, Clark Hall, and Lincoln Elementary. At Chapel Field, we clean the teacher workroom. We help the kids during lunchtime, and we also we help them during lunchtime, teacher workroom, and we clean water fountains. And then after that, we clean, I have mop bathrooms. We vacuum. If we done the floor scrubber. And we also done the floor distractor. And clean tables. This summer, I got a job as a custodian working at Chapel Field Elementary, where helping out, we clean tables, we clean rugs, we also chairs. We do the deep cleaning of the whole school. I have also worked at the Guardian. I've learned to cut grass, breeze, and then where I'm able to help at home. Any of these skills wouldn't be possible if I wasn't in the GEAR program. Thank you. One more thing to add. If it wasn't with the GEAR program, I wouldn't have never learned any of this jobs, and I wouldn't have never gotten exposed of this jobs that I have all the experience. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Hi, my name is Kiana Peck, and I'm an athlete with Gahanna Special Olympics. I'm here today to say a huge thank you to the Gahanna City Council for recognizing Disability Pride Month in July. July is Disability Pride Month, and that means that it's a time to celebrate people with disabilities. We are strong, we are determined, and we are capable of achieving amazing things. Sometimes things may be a little different for us, but that doesn't mean we can't do them. Being an athlete with Special Olympics has showed me that my disability doesn't define me. It's part of who I am, but it doesn't hold me back. I made incredible friends, pushed myself further than I thought possible, and even won some medals. I was even one of the 4 torchbearers at this year's Summer Games opening ceremonies in the OSU football stadium, the shoe. Officers with the run and Gahanna with the police department participated in this year's law enforcement torch run and were in the shoe with us this year. I would like to thank them and Mayor Lori Jade Wynn for their support at this year's Summer Games. By acknowledging Disability Pride Month, you're helping to show the whole community that people with disabilities are just like everyone else. We deserve to be proud, included, and given the chance to reach for our dreams. On behalf of all the Gahanna Special Olympics athletes, thank you again for this honor. Together, let's celebrate Disability Pride Month and all the amazing things people with disabilities can do. Let's show the world that we are proud, talented, and ready to keep reaching for our dreams. Thank you.
I'd like to say we were Kiana's teachers. Thank you. Hi, my name is Tiffany Hanna, and I'm here with the other 2 teachers from the Gahanna Lincoln High School Extended Support Services Program, Jill Long and Katie Roslovic, along with 2 of our current students.
My name's Jaden, this is Elijah.
Jaden and Elijah. We'd like to thank you for recognizing a very important group of people within the Gahanna community with this declaration. The Gahanna Jefferson Public Schools serves over 1,350 students with special needs, ages 3 to 21. You want to read? Last year, we had 149 students in our ELSS and ESS programs, supporting the students with the most intense learning differences.
At the high school in our classroom, our major focus is to teach students to be as independent as possible. The main way that we do this is through community-based instruction. Our students learn important skills such as safety, communication, and social skills while they're in the Gahanna community at local stores and job sites to teach them hands-on skills. We also run several micro-businesses, including the Gahanna Bakery. What do we make at the bakery? Do you know what we make? What we make? Dog bones. We make dog bones. And the Main Cup, a coffee shop within GLHS. That allows our students to participate in all aspects of the business and to engage with the Gahanna community.
Spread the Word, a nationwide initiative to stop the use of the R word, is a major district-wide event in Gahanna and a way that the Gahanna schools and community recognize the diversity and the value of all students each year. Do you guys like Spread the Word? Yeah. Since our inception in 2010, in Gahanna, we have gone from 2 schools celebrating this day to all 12 GJPS schools. We honor this day through signing the pledge, in-school events, and of course, the GJPS designed and produced t-shirts that you see around town. At this time, Elijah and Jaden would like to give each of you a t-shirt, and we would like to invite you to our events for this coming year.
These T-shirts are different every year, and they're specific to Gahanna. They're developed by the SWAG classes and produced by DECA. And then the proceeds go to all the special needs programs, the ELSS and ESS programs in Gahanna. So every year they are different this year, and they always have, this is Better Together. You'll see some of us are wearing different T-shirts.
Thank you so much.
And then this year, this I belong, you belong, we all belong, period, was our theme.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope to see you next March at our event.
Any commentary or any discussion from my colleagues? With that, I'll just, Ms. McGregor.
Thank you all for coming. It was really wonderful. We appreciate you all the teachers' work and with the students, and thank all the students for coming tonight, and parents. Can you start every Monday like this? This would be great.
Well, thank you all very much for joining us, and thank you for sharing a bit about the programming and what it means to you. And thank you, Ms. Jones, for your efforts on this as well. So really appreciate it. I'm almost sad to move on from the agenda. All right. Well, we'll pause here for just a minute to allow you to head on out. Thank you very much for joining us.
Every year, so we were thinking about you guys will be invited starting at the end of the year. Every year, you guys are start getting invited.
We went all together. Mascara under my.
Mr. Clerk, do we have any additional speaker slips?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you everyone for your patience. Director Schultz, thank you for grabbing the doors, appreciate it. Next up, we will move on to Section D, Hearing of Visitors. I've got several speaker slips here. As a reminder, when you approach the podium, you'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. And it's a hard 3 minutes, so I appreciate it, if everyone could stick to that. First up, we have Mr. Dingle, Kevin Dingle. Sure. Just going in order that these were received. Paul Bryson?
Hi, good evening, council members. I'm Paul Bryson. I live at 215 Green Bank Road here in Gahanna. I know a few of you a little. I've encountered you some, and you know my day job is with a nonprofit law firm that provides free legal services to low-income people and families all throughout Central Ohio. I'm not here in that capacity tonight or representing any client, but it is relevant because I'm here tonight as an expert on how utility aggregation can affect poor people. So I'm speaking about the energy choice resolution. I don't think that it's well understood how utility aggregation affects low-income people, and I think with knowledge, Gahanna can create a system that doesn't end up imposing harmful consequences on low-income folks. So first off, I want to say I support this resolution in general. I'm happy with the move to green energy. I think that it's probably going to bring me some lower utility bills, which is a really nice bonus. But aggregation will mean that most households in our city will be served by an electric company that is not regulated by the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio. And that has some consequences for poor folks that I don't think are well known. For context, I looked at census data, and I'm talking about approximately 750 families within Gahanna. And these are households that are at or below 175% of the federal poverty level. In dollars, that means an annual income of below $43,000 for a family of 3. So there are several Public Utilities Commission programs for these households for utility assistance. Most importantly are 3 of them. PIP, which caps energy bills to a percentage of household income. Medical certificates, which allow somebody who's getting shut off to get a 30-day extension if they've got medical need for electricity. And reconnect orders, which provide for emergency payment terms to reconnect services. These are all for people at that 175 of the federal poverty level or below. None of those are available through utilities that are not regulated by the Public Utilities Commission of Ohio, but people count on them. In my experience, that often means with unregulated utilities, families, senior, young children are going without power. And that leads to freezing nights, unfinished schoolwork, and inability to keep or cook fresh food. When PUCO can't enforce these programs, they just don't exist in most instances. Now, households already on PIP will be ineligible to join this utility plan. That's just the regulations for aggregation. But that doesn't protect families who experience a drop in income. I've seen firsthand how a sudden illness, death, or job loss can leave a family suddenly part of the low-income community. Those folks will need help and won't have the PUCO programs. So I think there are 2 ways we can deal with it. We could create utility assistance programs, similar to the ones that PUCO has, or we could make sure that people... Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryson. Sorry, jeez, that reminds me of 6 a.m. All right, next up, I have Mr. Joshua Smith. As a reminder, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Joshua Smith, 699 Whirlaway Court. Thank you for your time. When my son was 3, his grandfather and I went in to read books with him at bedtime. And he said, "Where's Amma?" Amma was his nickname for his grandmother. And we explained the door was too small for her wheelchair. And he said, "Build a bigger door." Here in Gahanna, according to the census data, 1 in 10 of us identify as disabled. 1 in 10 people. That's 1 in 20 of our children, 1 in 13 working age adults, and 1 in 4 retired age adults here in Gahanna. Disability isn't an aberration. It's not atypical. It is common. You might not see disability nearly this frequently, but that's because up to 90% of disabilities are invisible. Disability is a natural part of life. If you live long enough, you will experience disability. It is inevitable. Just as common as disability are barriers to disability, and Gahanna is no exception. Tonight's resolution was a really important step, but there's a lot of work that can be done. Our website to pay our utility bills does not meet web accessibility standards. Our website to buy pool memberships and events for Park and Rec does not meet web accessibility standards. Our Blues and Jazz Festival website does not meet web accessibility standards. All 3 of these sites have pages claiming to meet web accessibility standards. There's no designer or developer that did the wrong thing. but there's opportunity to do the right thing. And even looking at tonight's event, how would a person with a hearing impairment participate in this meeting? How would a blind person or a person with a motor impairment fill out a speaker slip or read the agenda? These barriers are all throughout our community. And again, no one person did a wrong thing, but there's so much opportunity to do the right thing. And so the call to action tonight is I want to see investment with people, with time, with money into accessibility in our community. Reach out to residents with disabilities, listen to them, call them into the solution. Let us be part of the solution. We've been figuring out how to navigate the road for a really long time. We're quite creative and capable of helping build a solution in a more accessible community. We want to attend events. We want to participate in politics. We want to change our community for the better. And many of us are eager for Gahanna to be more accessible. Disabled people are here in Gahanna, but the barriers don't have to be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Dingle? As a reminder, please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Sorry if that deferment was confusing. I wanted Josh to speak about that resolution. Kevin Dingle, 956 Cardero Lane. Over the past year, I've witnessed a number of misunderstandings regarding the Gahanna Area Arts Council. And I would like to request a presentation at one point in the future to share how we've partnered with the city so far and perhaps learn how we can better partner with you as we continue. For example, we'd like to know how the PAAC, currently being considered, will work with existing efforts. We're concerned that the creation of the PAAC is going to become a de facto arts council that will force us to be competitors rather than collaborators. We therefore ask that you pause selecting members for the PAC until after you hear our presentation, we can align on how these entities might fit together. In the meantime, I'd like to address 3 misunderstandings directly. I don't want to untimely miscommunication to prevent a robust partnership in our community. The first one, the Gahanna Area Arts Council is not a self-started group. Our members have no other agenda besides doing what our community has called us to do. The GAAC was formed via a multi-year process that began in 2016 under then-Mayor Tom Neeland. He asked a group of experts, business owners, and residents to help create arts policy and secure funding for arts initiatives. What you see today is the direct result of that original committee's efforts. Misunderstanding number 2, the GAAC is not averse to oversight. Rather, we've invited it all along. Since our establishing of the Board of Directors in 2017, we've invited City Council to make 2 appointments to our board, one from Council itself and one from the Mayor. It's the same mechanism the city currently uses to oversee Visit Gahanna. And misunderstanding 3 so far, the GAAC has brought in over $40,000 in funding to our community via grants. We've used those funds to host community festivals, bring groups like the Columbus Symphony to perform in our parks, and commission more than 70 murals. Throughout all of that, there has never been an issue with any of these projects because we operate according to best practices and in partnership with city staff throughout the entire process. We often have signed MOUs with the city. Our projects have always been subject to city oversight. In fact, historically, the city has ever only had issues when with arts projects when the Arts Council is not involved. Transparency builds trust, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now or during a future presentation or after the meeting. And to sum it up, the Arts Council is your partner, a partner with the city. We would love the opportunity to share with City Council and the administration what more we can bring to benefit our residents and to the city. And we look forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dingle. Next up, Justin Garton. As a reminder, please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Justin Garton, 683 Parliament Avenue. Is it okay? My son's also filling one out. Can he come up here afterwards? Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm also an educator in Gahanna. I work at the high school. And I've noticed recently that there's, well, fairly recently, like over the course of my entire career, that kids are a little more despondent, anxious, depressed, and so on. So I've been looking into trends and research because I thought naturally it's like all the screen time that's been happening for them, and that is a large degree of the problem. But I've also learned that there's a huge lack of play for kids, and like kids this young all the way up to like the teenagers that I have, where like when I was growing up, and probably when a lot of you were growing up, you like went outside and didn't come back until it was dark, and a lot of kids are just sitting on screens. And a lot of the reading I've done has shown that the best way to get kids out and about is to give them access to places. They're 6 times more likely to travel to something if there's a bike path or a walking path. And our community, selfishly, like we're very close to a lot of the like Gahanna cultural hubs, like the library and the high school and city hall and Creekside. But it feels like we're very far away because Clark State separates us, and it's not like there are bikers on there all the time, but ask my wife, bikers shouldn't be on there. So I end up having to take long ways around or driving to these places. So I think there's something that you're voting on tonight about exploring the feasibility of a trail that might connect our neighborhood and a lot of other neighborhoods to those cultural hubs. So I'd like to voice my gratitude for any of you who vote for it. And I guess I've got 45 seconds here. I know Gear already left, but as someone who works in the high school, they do awesome stuff. Gear and the ESS, their jobs, they bring me coffee every morning. And then last year I got to work at Clark Hall, right next to the print shop, and Shane and Ruthie and all the kids who run that. And for our senior projects, my kids worked with them a lot, and they were very, very helpful. So I just want to recognize them again too. You got anything? Can he speak now? Anything else you want to say?
I believe the Clark State Road path should be added. Multiple people who live on that street are normally inside and are never really necessarily found out and about. I feel like that, like if we had a path there, it would help people like get more exercise, and maybe like even have like an annual like Clark State run where like people like run all the way down Clark State Road to like help raise money. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And can you state your name for us, please?
Benjamin Garten, 683 Parliament Avenue.
All right, great job. Thank you. Thank you to our 2 additional speaker slips for your indulgence there. Thank you. Next up, I have Brenda Fargo. And if you will state your name and address for the record, please, and you will have 3 minutes. Yeah.
Brenda Fargo, 25578 Amarine Road in South Bloomingville, Hocking County, just so you know where it is. Last week at committee meeting, there seemed to be an impression that NOPEC is the brown power option for aggregation. That couldn't be further from the truth. Roughly 15% of the 240 NOPEC communities have chosen a 100% renewable option as their default product for their participants. The other member communities have decided that their residents are better served by a lower cost option, but they direct those residents that are interested in renewable products to the products that NOPEC provides that are 100% renewable. Also, our supply partner, NextEra Energy, is a leader in sustainability efforts. By investing in infrastructure and innovation clean energy technology, NextEra is helping to create a sustainable energy future that is affordable, efficient, and clean. In addition, NOPEC was the presenting sponsor of the recent Summit on Sustainability conference in Cleveland, and NextEra provided the RECs for the total carbon offset for that conference. Our executive director, Chuck Kuiper, wanted to be here this evening. Unfortunately, his schedule did not allow that. I would like to deliver his comments to you that were sent earlier, and you also, I believe, have a copy of his letter that was sent. Dear council members and mayor, I wanted to begin by thanking you for the opportunity to respond to Gahanna's RFI for electric aggregation. You are to be commended for your foresight in finding ways to realize the city's desire for a more sustainable future while finding ways to empower and lift your residents and small businesses as well. In order to assist Gahanna in your deliberations, I wanted to provide clarifications on a few topics that were discussed during the Council Committee of the Whole meeting last week. First, NOPEC is the largest governmental aggregation council of government in Ohio, serving roughly 905,000 customer accounts. A question regarding the other governmental aggregation council of government who submitted a response resulted in the speculation that the two organizations could possibly serve the same number or actually serve more. That is not the case. They are about 20% of the size of NOPEC. NOPEC has cities, villages, townships, and counties, and all of our programs are based on the input of those communities. Since my time is fleeting, I want to get to what we would like to have happen. We are currently asking that before you make a decision that you allow both of the Council of Governments to come and present our particular plans, how we work, in a more in-depth and complete opportunity for us to compare them. Since you have decided, and I think rightly so, that you want to go the Council of Government route, we would really request that we get the opportunity to correct some of the possible misstatements or misunderstandings that occurred last week. Thank you.
Thank you. A little loud. Maybe there's a volume button on here. All right. The last speaker slip that I have is from Emma Sisler. Welcome to council. If you will state your name and address for the record, please. And you have 3 minutes. Yep. Just pull right down.
Emma Sisler, 564 Theory Avenue. I think we should build multi-purpose paths in Gahanna because it would be good exercise so people aren't just in their houses all the time. And it's a good way to get around because it helps the earth, because driving cars everywhere we go isn't good because the fuel cars use makes smoke and that's bad for the earth. So it's good for the people and the earth.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Great job.
Good job.
Madam Mayor, I wonder if the administration might have any comment about the item on the agenda this evening regarding the feasibility study, and just to clarify, level set what that is, since we have an audience this evening that's interested.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I'm going to call you Mr. Pseudo-President for tonight. You might recall, I remember it was last year, perhaps when we had some residents kind of along that Clark State corridor who came and wanted to have a path built. In response to that, we had reached out to the Franklin County Engineer's Office because a large portion, the very large portion of Clark State Road between basically Hamilton and Clark State and Reynoldsburg and New Albany and Clark State is located in the unincorporated area. So that is really the responsibility of the Franklin County Engineer's Office. So we had reached out to them to find out if there was any project in their own capital improvement plan to examine a potential multi-use path along that corridor. It was not. They had just finished their 10-year CIP at the time. However, then Franklin County engineer Cornell Robertson had offered to explore doing a feasibility study to really do an evaluation of the Clark State corridor to determine what that might look like if it was even possible to do that. So Fast forward a year later, it does take that time, sometimes in government, because it was not in the Franklin County engineer's budget. They did get approval to fund a study for that. So then they came to us and said, hey, Gahanna, we'd like to do this. We're doing this because you had approached us. Would you be interested in partnering and contributing some dollars to that feasibility study? And we said yes. So that is what is on the agenda tonight, is the supplemental appropriation to request some additional funds that we had not anticipated and had not asked for in our budget to contribute to that feasibility study. Assuming that's passed by all of you tonight, those funds will be appropriated. We will then partner with Franklin County Engineers Office, contribute our portion to what that feasibility study would cost. I think it was about $67,000 in total. They will then conduct that. My understanding from talking with their office is it would take about a year. There's a lot of engineering analysis that has to go through that. If you actually drive up Clark State, you see the bridge at Havens Road, the power lines, all of the drainage ditches, what that would look like. They will then come back to us once that study is done and share with us what the results are. Is it feasible? And that's a very broad word, but what is potentially installing a trail along that corridor would look like, what potential costs would look like, and then that would better help them evaluate where that might fit into their capital improvement plan, and we then in turn would look to how does that fit within our capital improvement plan. So we're still a long ways off, but this would be the first step to really just truly understanding what a project like that might look like if it can be done. So a good first step, but the first step in one of many.
Great. Thank you very much for the clarification and explanation. Appreciate it. And thank you, colleagues, for indulging us on that. Seeing no additional speaker slips, we will move on to Section E, the consent agenda. Mr. Clerk, would you please read the items under subsection E3 for their second reading, please?
Ordinances for second reading and adoption. Ordinance 0042-2024, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to provide consent and enter a participatory agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation for roadway maintenance and repair on Hamilton Road and Granville Street. Ordinance 0043-2024, an ordinance granting a deed of easement of 0.044 plus or minus acres to BSO HQ LLC, a private entity also known as Burns and Scalo, for the purposes of stormwater drainage onto city property adjacent to the development located at 1070 Tech Center Drive. Ordinance 0044-2024, an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriations, general fund for Clark State Multi-Use Path Feasibility Study.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Schnetzer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Renner. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
And Bowers is absent.
Thank you very much. Next up, Section F, resolutions. Resolution 0028-2024, a resolution affirming the intention of the City of Gahanna to pursue a community choice energy aggregation program with Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council, SOPEC. Is there a motion to approve the item?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Renner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Renner.
Yes, thank you. Couple of things that I want to definitely say. I definitely want to thank one of our speaker hearing visitors, Mr. Paul Bryson. I too am an expert in this arena, and I assure you that aggregators are clearly regulated by the PUCO. One of the reasons why we were looking at the COG type of government is that for a lot of reasons for the transparency, but we will get a certificate from the PUCO that passes through. NOPEC operates the exact same way. They are regulated by the PUCO. We do get that certificate, and they do have to abide by all the laws of the state of Ohio on that. Second, one of the things that we did talk about a little bit, and in particular with SOPEC, is the treatment of the poor people who have limited incomes. And I would definitely like to talk to you more about that, and maybe we could brainstorm about some of our education, public education about that. But payment plans that are already established are recognized. And I'm not 100% sure or what other aggregators, I'm just speaking for SOPEC. And again, they have other plans in the queue because they're very sensitive, and they have a long history of being very sensitive to individuals with limited income. So there's programs for that. My other record is I want to thank everybody, my colleagues, for very long deliberations about this. Council in the city of Gahanna has definitely been talking about this since the fall when NOPEC first came and did their presentation. We did have SOPEC, so the both were here. I want to thank the administration and especially Director Schultz and Corey Weisenberger for all the work that they did in helping publish the RFI. I'm very proud of that RFI that we did, the request for information. Everybody had an opportunity to provide information, NOPEC, SOPEC, and we had 2 private individual or commercial type aggregators do as well. I think the playing field has been leveled. Everybody has had an opportunity to speak, my opinion. Now I think we need to just go forward and do the work. And I'm looking forward to actually joining with SOPEC, and I'm looking forward to very much all of the community, customer and residential communication that we need to do on this. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I just have a few comments here. I would echo Mr. Renner's comments broadly and would like to reiterate or add my thanks and gratitude to the administration, particularly Director Schultz and Director Weibensinger. I know this was has been a huge lift for the administration and staff, but also want to thank Mr. Renner for his leadership on this issue as well. Appreciate it. Really shepherded the conversation and bringing in Mr. Florida with PCFO as well to help us navigate the process. I want to express my gratitude to all 4 entities that responded to the RFI. There's been a lot of healthy discussion over since the idea first came up in the fall. I just want to thank everybody for their comments and their feedback on this. I think, you know, personally, I was always supportive of the Council of Government approach. I think we've, based on that discussion and feedback and the responses to the RFI, I'm comfortable with this path moving forward. I'm excited for what this means for the city. Excited for the savings that our residents are going to experience, and excited for moving our community to a more sustainable future. The concerns that were raised during a hearing of visitors, I look forward to a healthy discussion on that for how can we alleviate those concerns for potentially adverse impact to the residents. So, last call for any comments on this item. All right, Mrs. McGregor.
I guess I'll just reiterate that I know I am in the minority, but I would say that, you know, if I am in favor of aggregation as long as we are going for the least expensive, whether it is all green energy or a combination. I think, you know, our residents would prefer to have the least cost. That's why we're doing it, is to lower the cost of energy for our residents, and so that would be my preference.
Thank you, Mrs. McGregor. All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Renner,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Schnetzer? Yes. Weaver?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
And Bowers is absent.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next up, Section G, ordinances for introduction, first reading. Mr. Clerk, would you please read the items under Section G?
Ordinance 0045-2024, an ordinance amending Chapter 737 Tobacco Product Sales, Section 737.04 and 737.14 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Gahanna. Ordinance 0046-2024, an ordinance authorizing supplemental appropriations, ARPA Fund 2330.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. All right, moving on to Section H, correspondence and actions. Mr. Clerk, anything for us this evening?
I actually do have one item, and I apologize, we did not have this in the council packet going out. However, I did want to inform council that the Planning Commission did recommend a rezoning of property located at 5061 Shagbark Road. Current zoning is ER and formerly ER2, and proposed zoning LR4, formerly LMFRD. I did reach out to the applicant. They are expected to be present during the Committee of the Whole on July 15th to answer any questions that council might have about that rezoning. And along with that, I sent a tentative legislative schedule, assuming that is recommended out of committee on the 15th. We would hold a first reading on August 5th, and then a second reading along with a public hearing on that item on August 19th.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Anything from my colleagues? All right, moving right along. Section I, representatives, Community Improvement Corporation. I can go ahead and take this one. Our June meeting we were joined by, that's our regular meeting where the CIC invites members of council to participate. So happy to have both Ms. Bowers and Ms. Padova join us. Finance Committee reported a cash balance of $208,000 ending the month of May. Real estate continuing to be our largest assets, of course. Rental income was reported at $19,000 for the month, which is down a bit as a few tenants have moved out. Property taxes were paid, just slightly higher than my second half tax bill of $89,000 for the second half property tax bill for the CIC properties. And Leopard and Company should have the CIC's taxes ready for next month's review. Mayor's office shared several updates, including mentioning the rezoning that Mr. Clerk just reported back. I know that Director Blackford indicated he and his team have been working on some zoning code changes as a result of implementing the new zoning code since May 1st. That often happens. You implement something, you see how it works, and you realize there's some tweaks here and there, so I look forward to those coming. Administration is also taking a look at some short-term rentals as an area of concern for both council and the administration. We were introduced to Mr. Nate Green of the Montrose Group, who will be filling in and helping out the CIC as Director Haymans is pursuing another opportunity. One additional item worth noting here, the Development Department will be taking over the responsibilities for the CORA, the Creekside Outdoor Refreshment Area. Renewal legislation should be coming forward. I have July, August time frame.
Might be the next committee.
Great, wonderful. Seeking a small boundary change, and also a time change just to make it consistent and help reduce some confusion there, and hopefully lead to the opportunity to promote the CORA more and help support our businesses. And two additional quick items here, as I believe we're still waiting word on a grant that the CIC filed for demolition, to assist with demolition. And then lastly, Mr. Kelly Fox, who's been a member of the CIC for about 8 years, has indicated he will be stepping away from the board in August. So we thank Mr. Fox for his service to the CIC. Anything to add, Mr. Renner, on that?
No, sir, I was not there, so I'm very happy to give it to you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, I'm sorry, you're all going to just be sick of me here in a few minutes. Thank you to Mr. Clerk and our MORPC intern Charlie for preparing the report that's included with the agenda. Just a couple quick items here on that. There is not a monthly commission meeting for July. However, the next commission meeting will be on Thursday, August 8th. In legislative news, the state legislature has been very busy past couple weeks, but they have both the House and Senate have passed a one-time strategic community investment funding. I received an email late this afternoon that I'm happy to share out with various projects that are receiving funding for that. And don't forget to tune in for Mondays. I highlighted all the ones that I have at our last meeting, but if you miss them, you can always stream them after the fact as well. Oops, sorry. And I believe that's all I have for MORPC. So moving right along. Convention and Visitors Bureau, Ms. Padova.
Thank you. So the volunteer picnic for everyone who helped with Blues and Jazz Festival is tomorrow at Friendship Park from 5:30 to 7. Volunteer groups will be receiving over $15,000 collectively during the picnic. Things are still being reconciled from the festival, so there aren't any final numbers yet, but attendance looks to be comparable to last year's attendance. All 3 days were quite beautiful, so it was really good year for the festival. The first 3 midweek at the Creeks had to be postponed, unfortunately, due to weather. All the good weather came during the festival, and that's okay. But they will resume next Wednesday from 6 to 8 on Creekside Plaza. Visit Gahanna is also working with Make Gahanna Yours to create a spirit station to welcome and cheer on Pelotonia riders coming through Gahanna on August 3rd. So mark your calendars for that. I'm sure there will be more information to follow. Also, the Herb Center is offering classes for children for the first time since before COVID. So the first one is this Saturday, entitled Herbal Kids Flowers. And participants will enjoy different activities related to herbs. So you can go to Visit Gahanna and find more information about all of that. And that's all for me.
All right, thank you, Ms. Padova. Next up, School Board, Ms. Jones.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Jeremy, thank you. If you could pop those up. So just wanted to give an update. Several months ago, a group of community members started to help build the strategic plan for the district. This summer, administration is fine-tuning those things and creating a dashboard for all of this to roll out when school starts in the fall. So just wanted to have an opportunity to share updated vision, mission, and values of the district, which you can see on the slide, and the new mission statement, which is to empower students for lifelong success by ensuring that student learning is our top priority, preparing each student to continually thrive in an ever-changing world. In addition to that, part of this strategic planning includes a new logo and lion. If Jeremy, you may have seen this already, but this is the new and improved look of our Gahanna lion and the GJPS logo. So I wanted to share that update with community and colleagues. A full update and progress report on the strategic plan is on the district website, and we look forward to that plan coming to life as school starts in the fall. That's all for me.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Jones. Section J, official reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you so much for the Disability Pride resolution. It was a wonderful way to start our council meeting. I know in March there's Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, so to get another opportunity, especially on the heels of the Gahanna Special Olympics this weekend, those athletes participating, I should say, I think was particularly meaningful. It was a pleasure to be in attendance at the opening ceremony Friday night at the SHU. I didn't know quite what to expect. but when you see thousands of athletes coming through and lining the field, and then we had officers from the Gahanna Division of Police, as they mentioned, that participated in the torch run, law enforcement torch run in support of the Special Olympics Games. We had 6 officers. Our community liaison officer, Kaylee Pertz, organized that. In addition to Kaylee, we had Sergeant Parrish. I'm looking at my list so I don't leave anybody out. Officers Stewart, Smith, Hoffman, Reisinger, and Beardsley all ran, Sergeant Parrish, and then 2 firefighters from Mifflin Township. And it really was a spectacular evening to see them coming in and high-fiving all of the athletes. So congratulate them on all of the work that they did. It was a hot day Saturday. I was worried about them, but they all did very well, and the smiles were just spectacular. Thanks to SWACO for their partnership on our recent household hazardous waste collection event. And thanks to our public service team as well. It was very hot that day as well. And those folks stood out on that asphalt all day long, collecting everything from tires to paint cans. 2 carloads full came from my house in particular. I'm very happy now I can pull in the garage. It's great. But we had 659 cars that went through that day. And I think we were all very excited for a first-time event. That was a great turnout. We're looking to grow that event. Hopefully we can do that again in partnership with SWACO next year. But it provided a wonderful opportunity for our residents to safely dispose of those items you have around your house. Again, old tires, old batteries, paint cans, turpentine, all of those things were taken and accepted and safely disposed of. So wonderful event. Another kind of those low-hanging fruit pieces we talk about with regard to sustainability means many, many things. That's just one of them. We'll report, since we actually had some Arts Council folks here, bright blocks are installed. The 2022-2023 bright blocks are installed along the Big Walnut Trail in various locations. My special thanks to Director Vollmer and our Park Superintendent, Zach Guthrie, for helping to coordinate that and move that along. So I believe they are meeting with members of the Arts Council Wednesday to talk about communication and how we will work with them in terms of promoting where that is. I would anticipate Visit Gahanna being involved in that as well. And we can start promoting those locations and then anticipate where the 2024 bright blocks will eventually be located. Our Parks team has to install permanent fixture within the pathways so that when the 2024 blocks come out, they will be more permanently installed. So good work on moving that ahead. And speaking of Parks and Rec, July is also Parks and Recreation Month. It was a month designated nearly 40 years ago to promote building strong, vibrant, and resilient communities through the power of Parks and Recreation. This year's theme is Where You Belong, which celebrates the way Parks and Recreation foster a sense of community, creating that welcoming, inclusive programs, essential services for all ages and abilities, as well as safe and accessible spaces to build meaningful connections. And then we have many wonderful parks and trails within our community. That doesn't mean that we're done. It doesn't mean we don't have opportunities for improvement. So we're continuing to build that, and we appreciate council's investments as we identify projects and move forward. Earlier today presented a proclamation to members of our Parks and Recreation team. They're going to have a busy week this week with fireworks that Wednesday night and parade on Thursday, but they'll get it done. They always do, and it'll be great. And to that point, trails. We had a wonderful open house in these chambers last Tuesday. Many thanks to the residents who turned out. I know there were several council members there as well. Great discussions happening with the residents. Our consultants who are leading that program did a presentation on what an active transportation plan is, what has been done to date, what the next steps are. They had boards all throughout the back of the room that identified 60 different projects that have been identified to date, and residents were asked to help prioritize those. Out of these projects, what are your top 5? Or are there projects that we're missing? If people were not able to attend that open house, we do have an online survey that is live. It will stay live through this Friday, July 5th. You can find a link to that on the City of Gahanna social media page. It should also be up on the website. So again, yet another opportunity for our residents to provide input on that. You can identify projects by ID number or offer if you see something you're missing something that's not on there, add that in there as well. So again, that's Friday, July 5th is when that survey will be live. And then upcoming events, I referenced fireworks. Our Gahanna Independence Day celebration is Wednesday at the Gahanna Golf Course. Gates open at 5 p.m. with food trucks, vendors, activities being there. Music starts at 5:30. Fireworks will launch at 10 p.m. In the event of inclement weather, we will send out alerts. So right now, I think the forecast is things are supposed to, it's central Ohio. It could be 70, it could be 90, who knows. But in the event we have some inclement weather that we have to worry about, we will send out alerts so people can always sign up to receive those. And then Thursday morning, our 4th of July parade presented by the Lions Club. Parade steps off at 10:30 a.m. Parade entries will start to line up, I think, starting at 8:30 a.m. behind Clark Hall. Parade kicks off at 10:30 again, and we'll head west on Granville Street, ending at Royal Plaza Shopping Center. The theme this year is Red, White, and Blue City. For info on the parade, you can go to gahanna.gov. We do have an events calendar on the bottom of the homepage. You just scroll down, and if you click on the date, you can click to the event, and it'll link you to the Lions Club applications, etc., as well as many other city events that are happening. So we encourage our folks to check that out at gahanna.gov to find out what is happening in the community. And that is all I have. Thank you. Wishing everybody a wonderful 4th of July holiday. Oh, and a reminder, City Hall will be closed on the 4th.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Councilman Weaver. Many of you may recall that I have reported a few times about litigation involving Speedway towing transportation. One of the lawsuits that was pending was a federal claim. I am pleased to report that our motion for summary judgment was granted a few weeks ago. And so that case is now closed, that federal portion. And they do have 30 days to appeal. There has been no appeal filed yet. So we are hopeful that that will remain closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. All right, moving right along to council comment. Start with Councilmember Jones.
Thank you. Just another thank you to our special guests. I know they're not here, but it's on the record from GEAR, ESS, and Gahanna Special Olympics, and to residents for their comments of support and really a call to action to ensure our city is accessible to all, so thank you. I am forgetting the name of our younger guests. I know we had Emma and, say it louder. Benjamin, thank you. One of the many hats that I wear, a lot of folks know, is leading an organization that teaches kids about using your voice for good and how you can make an impact in the world. And so I am just super proud of both of you. It is not easy to get up here and talk on a microphone in front of adults, and you both did an awesome job, and keep doing that. The world will be all right if you guys keep using your voice. Awesome job. That is all for me.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mrs. McGregor.
I would also thank our younger speakers. They did a great job. I have a hard time at my age speaking, and you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you. I wanted to just say, looking forward to the 4th of July festivities, but the Historical Society, which I work with a lot, is we had the Gahanna Area Realtors Association came down earlier in June, and they pick a project every year, community project, and they picked the Historical Society this year, and they had 18 to 20 realtors. Some of them had their kids. We had 8 of our members there, and we did painting, picnic tables, a gazebo. We thought our signs needed to be repainted that identify our buildings, and there was a guy there. He spent the whole day power washing. He power washed the gazebo. He did our signs, which don't need repainting. They just needed a nice power washing. He power washed the sidewalks. He went crazy with the power washer. It was great. Some did gardening, we did mulch, and one lady came, she'd broken her foot, a bone in her foot, and so she couldn't do much, so she polished silver. So it was a great day, and I really appreciate, the whole Historical Society really appreciate all their help, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McGregor. Mr. Renner.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to be quick. I just also want to add to the chorus of thank you, Councilwoman Jones, for that wonderful resolution, and thank everybody that actually came, and thank all our speakers on that front. The SWACO deal, that's impressive that we had 659 cars. I'd like to actually know from SWACO how much debris was actually diverted from the landfill. That would actually be another beautiful part of our story, and it's important. The active transportation plan, I was definitely here for that. I really enjoyed the firm and the presentation about that. and being able to actually go through and understand what the projects were. And I spent some probably unfair time with one of the engineers, giving them an earful, because active transportation plan, the sister that's not really being talked about, that is mobility. And we really got to do a better job of actually talking about mobility and mobility issues with that. So I passed those along to Drew. I am very impressed. Probably on Facebook, everybody know, I did not know about this until my son, who was riding his bike to the pool for his job, and there was goats eating grass and all that kind of stuff, and he's like, "What is that?" And I was impressed that that we actually have a contract with Goats to Go, because on the sustainability front, that's another big deal. And instead of using fossil fuel driven machinery, just let the animals take care of things. So that's a very
They're hungry.
well, and they were hungry, and they did a really good job. Because then I had to get on my bike and actually go check it out. So, but it was actually really good. I also want to thank. I forgot, and so I do have one little go back. Mr. Benjamin and Miss Emma, thank you for speaking on our trails, because with mobility and with issues, we're also talking about resiliency. And in the future, we're not just, sustainable is actually talking about, well, what kind of major things are we going to do? But resiliency is how do we actually help our citizens, what infrastructure, what other things and devices that we do to help our residents for the future, especially in times of bad times. Another pandemic or who knows, whatever else. And the trails are definitely that helps us make us more resilient. And we can build an adaptation plan around all of these things to help us become a more sustainable community. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Ms. Padova.
Thank you. I will echo thank you, Councilwoman Jones, for a great start to our meeting. It was great to just see a nearly full house and all of the excitement around that resolution. Thank you also to all of our speakers this evening. It's nice to have so many speakers and it all be very different topics and very relevant to our agenda and policies. So a special thank you to our youngest speakers. What is just as impressive as you getting up here and talking to us is sitting through to the very end of the meeting. Quietly, at one point I looked down and Emma's just sitting there reading her book. So well behaved.
No devices, and with
Yes.
no devices.
Yes. So excellent job, parents. You guys are killing it. And much of what we are doing here may not happen, as the mayor said with the sidewalks. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to, a lot of the things that we're doing are going to affect the future. Doing the aggregation, going renewable is much more for their generation than it is for ours, hopefully. So it's nice to have that generation here as much of our work is for the future. My family and I went to go see the goats yesterday, and speaking of all of our trails, we took a very long walk all the way from Gahanna Heights up to Upper McCorkle Park, which was quite the trek. I had never gone that all the way up there before, but it was really nice to have a path all the way there. So I hope that you guys are able to kind of connect to the path system a little bit better as well. And we were able to see the goats, and it was really cool to see them kind of in action. When we first got there, they were around the corner, and I didn't see them, and I was expecting maybe a dozen. I think they said they had like 40 there. All of a sudden, they came around the corner, and it was just a lot. So it was very cool to see. And then when we were leaving, they all kind of just like laid down and were taking a nap. So it was nice. And on our way there and back, we went by and saw some of the bright blocks, which my daughter was very excited about as well. Seeing all of the frogs, and I forget, there was another, I think, cow or something, and she was saying goodbye to the frogs as we were walking by. So it was a very Gahanna day, and it was nice to see some of the things that we do here out in the world, just enjoying our day. So. And with that, hope to see you all at the parade on Thursday.
Thank you, Ms. Padova. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I will be brief and probably somewhat redundant. I, too, would like to thank all the folks from GEAR, ESS, and Gahanna Special Olympics. Also, I want to extend my gratitude to those of you that came in this evening. I think my colleagues would agree we all want to know what is important to you. So thank you for that. Thank you for taking to the podium and sharing your perspective and your concerns. And in closing, I just want to wish everybody a safe and happy Independence Day holiday.
Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. I will echo everyone's comments of gratitude and thank you all for joining us. I love hearing from our residents, so thank you to all of our speakers, including our Emma, Benji, the representatives from ESS, GEAR, and Gahanna Special Olympics, as well as our adult participants this evening as well. Appreciate you speaking as well. Looking out at the crowd this evening, quite a lot of educators in the room as well. So thank you all very much, and was delighted to see our school board members, Ms. Dimmerling and President Coates here as well. So appreciate everyone taking the time to be here on a Monday evening. So quick reminder that there is no committee of the whole next week. Rather, that will be held on July 15th, immediately following our regular council meeting. And thank you to my colleagues for putting up with me as I stood in for Ms. Bowers this evening. And lastly, I wish everyone a very happy and safe 4th. With that, we do have an executive session scheduled this evening. I do not anticipate any legislative action coming out of executive session. So with that, I will seek a motion to go into executive session under authority of Section 5.40A of the Council Rules of Procedure to consider the appointment of a public employee or official.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Schnetzer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Renner. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
And Bowers is absent.
Thank you very much. In the law library,